operation, Alfonso Albaisa, and design director for Nissan Design Europe, Mr. Matthew Weaver.
My love, how
Hello.
are you?
Good.
Oh, Mr. Matt Weaver. So thanks everyone for coming. You know, as everyone knows, these motor shows are a bit stuffy, and the executives have about 10 minutes, and they go through their business, and at the end, there's not enough chatting in detail about the model and about some of the visions that we have. And I am very lucky that I have Matt Weaver with me today, who is the Director of Design for Nissan Design Europe. He is head of design for the Nissan brand, for the Infiniti brand, and some Datsun projects here and there. And we're going to walk you through this wonderful, wonderful car. Now, before we get started, about 15 years ago,
Yep.
there was a concept car right here, which was the hint of what the Qashqai would be. And if you can remember back that far, at that time, there was only the Golf as a benchmark. So this was the beginning of how Nissan invents segments in Europe. And then Matt was also heavily involved with the Juke, which also created a new thing. So I think it's wonderful that now as we introduce e-Power, you can help us talk about IMQ.
Yeah, sure.
Where do you want to start, the profile?
Yeah.
Let's go. So Matt, as I think everyone knows by now, e-Power is not an EV, but it lives inside the EV family. It's built off of our EV platforms, but it has a small internal combustion engine, which basically charges the battery. So the driving experience is fully electrified. So with that context, why did you make this shape?
Yeah. So those two electric motors are putting out 700 newton meters of torque, which is a huge amount of power. So what we've tried to do is show that dynamic movement within the car. Obviously, we're looking also at future trends of a C-segment crossover. So starting at the profile of the car, it's very sporty, it's very robust. Obviously, our products are always robust, very strong. But we've tried to reinvent certain cues for the crossover market as you go around the car. So many of our friends in other companies, perhaps, they may look at conical wheel arches, which have been the plat de jour for the last decade or so.
Very French.
Yeah, just for Geneva. But on this car, we're looking perhaps the whole body side, the whole front wheel arch is in fact the whole body side is in fact the front wheel arch in plan, and then it pulls to the rear wheel arch. So we're looking at different cues that we can give ourselves a little bit of gap within the market to play with, which we always like to do, of course. And then for me, really, one of the most astonishing points on this car is the starting point. The line fires along the car here, along the feature line. And then we also have this vortex line that runs up the fender into the glass, which is really very dynamic.
I really love that because as everyone knows here, especially there's probably more than one designer there, it's very hard to construct fundamentally new shapes in our business. But this arrangement of this surface as it undulates up and into the vent becomes a crease, but then gathers to this point, which is actually also a parting line, is a bit of NDE, Nissan Design Europe magic work.
Yeah, we try and get these second, third reads. So as you walk around the car, you'll see new things. Yeah. The folding over also happens here. The body side is layered, folded over, helping guide air, and in the case here, helping your eye come over from the body side. And then to contrast the heavy body, something I really like is we've got this super light cabin. Even though we've got a very tight cabin and high belt line, we actually have a one-piece roof all the way to here. So we have a side glass and then the roof. Quite often we have side glass, a seal, then obviously the metal cant rail, then perhaps another seal or a well, and then obviously onto the roof. Here we're experimenting in a very seamless look around the car to try and bring it really into the future.
I really love that. I mean, the whole sense of this layering effect that's happening in the back somehow makes a car that is relatively wide actually feel light and nimble and dynamic.
And it's super. I mean, the layering is actually also this copper element here. The cant rail actually goes underneath the roof, so they're not two separate parts. That's one part.
Yes.
And also the dynamic lines. We have this real swoosh, which is caught by the blue fleck in the paint. It's a very nice, juicy part of surfacing.
Shall we talk about the front?
Yeah.
Take care of yourself, my love. The turntable is going to go. Can we spin? Thank you. Obviously, from my Instagram, I really love this, so I was photoshopping on this. This also has this very interesting construction of surfaces and this almost origami, cut paper, folded paper, Japanese thing going on.
So we have these very strong identifiers. We've got our V-motion grille and the boomerang lamps.
Yeah.
So we try to think about the empty spaces around those and how we connect them in a new way. So come back. Oh. So quite often we're seeing similar treatments in other vehicles. So we really wanted a very strong identifier. As you can see, things are interlocking as well. We have the boomerang lamps that interlock with the body side. And something as well that goes around the car, we have this very sheer surfacing, which we speak at length about MA, about very simple surfacing punctuated with beautiful detail. As you go around the car, we have this lamellaring effect, which goes around all the wheel arches, and it's very strong here on the front grille. So here on the front grille, it's actually super complex, made up of many hundreds of parts. But looking slightly further back, it's unified, actually makes a very solid part. So it's, again, a double read.
I do love that in the sense that all of the things that you have that are fluted actually then reappear and they become a functional element like the grille, because at the end of the day, this is an e-power, so it needs to breathe. It's not a pure EV in that sense. So I really loved how you were able to work all of those elements in there. Yeah, yeah.
A little bit also less air in, and you'll see on the rear less air out. So we're trying to show the lower emissions as well.
You want to? Are you hinting that you want to talk about the rear now?
Let's talk about the rear.
Let's talk about the rear. One of the things as the car turned that I love very much this sense of, as we were starting our new portfolio, obviously all the cars we have in the dealers are getting a little bit older. So as you can imagine, in design group, we've been very busy with maybe almost 20 cars that we're redesigning. And we started to think about how are we going to structure all of these new cars. And we, with the help of some executive design directors, Tyson and PDDs out here, we should think about how Japanese DNA is captured in our new language. And one of the things that we have talked about is MA, which means the mastery of the simple space, or it's a kind of Japanese minimalism. So one of the things that Matt's team at NDE have been working on is this. At the glance, you feel this is a very simple construction. But actually, when you get close, you find that the composition of elements is quite delicate and intricate. And I think that the rear is another one.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's so simple, broad plane, but this kind of, the way you're interlocking these elements, you want to...
Well, also very functional. So we have the very vertical flanks, so really good for aero. But I think one of the really notable things is it gives real visible width to the car. And then we can pull the cabin in, so we can play with the plan shape. So you get this very dynamic stance. Contrasting that, then you have the lamellas coming around again, so super intricate. And again, as you said, they incorporate the exhausts, so it's all very integrated and seamless.
And I think really from the rear view, you can really feel and appreciate how the car does start from here. Because here, you're almost at your widest point, and this sheer surface is tucking in, stretching out, and then comes to a straight line and folds in, I think is...
Well, you were just motioning. I think when we were doing the clay model, we were literally pulling the line like that.
Very good. All right, shall we jump into high tech? One of the things that we're very grateful that we can have this demo, because in our normal everyday life, because we have 8 studios around the world, we have Shanghai, we have San Diego, we have London, we have Chennai, we have Brazil, that the best way that we can communicate every day is with the VR, actually. It's a tool that in my office, on my desk, I have my own set. and it's very helpful. But today we're going to use it to help you see what the interiors are like, so and help Matt explain. So obviously here we have an urban environment, and I just press you can see the blue laser, and it opens up the doors. So here you'll feel this, what Matt was talking about, that how the outside works in. Matt, do you want to tell me what you want to see or explain?
I don't know where I am, whether I'm in real world or virtual world. So yes, the lamellering carries on the rocker, but it leads your eye in. So obviously we've got the glass cocoon, which lets a lot of light in. But as you get close to the interior, you can see the lamellering happening again. The interior in general is a lot calmer, a nice sense of well-being. So it contrasts the exterior, which is very robust. I think one of the really beautiful features of the interior, as you can see, is the fabric work, which is inspired by Kumiko woodwork, which is the technical latticing of wood, which gives a lovely texture to the interior. Yeah, yeah.
What's interesting is how you were able to mix this kind of very high-tech and futuristic technology message with the Japanese classical textures.
Yeah.
Is Chetan here? Where's Chetan?
He's down there.
Chetan is here. He's the lead designer of this. And it's quite nice, huh?
So we've moved the HVAC unit forward of the firewall. So we've got the flat floor. So obviously there's no drivetrain, as we have two motors each end. So we've kept the flat floor, but yes, down there is completely open. So a lot more leg space. Much
really
more open feeling.
The detail of this, of how these fluting actually comes in and goes over the surface.
I'm literally on your back at the moment. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, is that you? That happens a lot.
So
that was harassment.
You're normally on the other side of the world, though.
Great. And one of the other things that helps us in the design phase is that we're able to, of course, this is the images that you see right now, it's in an urban environment. So the buildings, let me close the door for you. The buildings are reflecting into the body, and it looks beautiful, and it has this urban chic. But the reality, maybe even here in Switzerland, is the ability to, with this Autodesk software, is we can take a look at this design in a completely different environment, this snow environment. And where you can see this lovely surfacing, and we can check out all the PQ, we can check all the details. Oops. Oops. The Hollywood is revealed. And we can, of course, close all the doors and things like that. Wonderful. Great. Shall we take a look at the actual? After you, sir. How was this material made at the end of the day?
So it's laser cut, so we have to use algorithms to generate the pattern. And they're also based off the 3D surface, so we can hold a constant shape. They also allow breathing, so the venting comes through the fabric as well.
One of the things that hopefully when you come up, you'll appreciate that when Chetan and the team were making this IP, the instrument panel is actually, when the doors are closed, are held by the section of the door itself, and it gives you this real strong, reassuring impression. And also this fabric that you mentioned and its relationship to this funky screen.
Yeah,
a bit of a challenge, I'm sure.
Again, we've distilled some of the Nissan DNA, so our gliding wing on the IP. So we've kept a very seamless look. We have a very large 840mm screen integrated. So it's very seamless, great visibility. We've also got the Squircle steering wheel. So it's drive-by-wire, so it's got a short throw. And also it helps in autonomous mode, smaller wheels, so it's much easier to tuck away.
How do you think people will adapt to this kind of square steering wheel?
It's quite intuitive, I think. Just if you can get full lock on a short throw, you become very used to it very quickly.
Good.
I really like the center console. It's kind of a bridge. For us, it symbolizes the power, the two power units that are either side of the passengers. And it's a nice link as well. It keeps things very sporty on the interior.
Now, do you want to answer the question about the Little Mermaid pedals, or should Chetan?
Let's get Chet on that.
But I love the use of gold and all of these things. I know that on IMS it was to link to the EV, the copper and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, of course, connectivity. We have it on the exterior, and it's a nice lead onto the interior. Of course, there's a good link to electrification through that.
That's great. That's lovely. Huh? Well, should we invite folks up and to chat? Now, we're done explaining, but if you want to have a more personal, including the designers, original designers can come up, please do. And also, we can use the VR if you want to see it in the different landscapes. We have some experts that can help if you get lost. And I want to thank everyone for coming. And please come up and please talk to us. We're relatively lonely. I'm more lonely than him. But anyway. Tyson, please come up. Chet.
Yeah. Gio.
Tyson, Ken, Gio, Irie-san. John. Thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Alfonso. Thanks.